Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us right here on Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian. Ndegwa. We get into yet another segment of Good Morning Kenya, and right now we'll be looking at personal pensions, individual pension plans. And according to statistics, they show that 26% of working Kenyans are actively saving for their retirement. Only 26% of working Kenyans. This means that 7 out of 10 Kenyans are projected to struggle by the time they get to their retirement age if this goes on. Now, how can we change that? We're trying to look at that, and for that reason we have in studio with us a pensions supervisor from the Kenya Orient Life Assurance Limited. His name is Victor Ndago. Victor, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Good morning.
You're doing well this morning?
Yes, I'm doing well. And you?
I'm doing all right, and I'm pleased to have you on the show today. Sure. Now, if we can just begin by you telling us some of the types of pension plans that we have currently in the country.
Thank you, Vivian. And it's a good morning. And the most important thing is that we need to know about pension. And as you have said, many people or many Kenyans are not involved in this matter of retirement. And as we speak, we have got different types of pension, that is the retirement. And one of them is individual pension plan, where we have the companies, especially insurance sector and other financial sector, do set up the pension plan, where individuals, those who are in different sectors, those who are not formally employed or in the informal sector, can have a plan for their future. Number two, we do have occupational schemes, retirement schemes. These are specifically organized by the employers. And those who get employed from time to time, they do join depending on the terms and conditions that have been stipulated. The third one, we do have umbrella retirement pension scheme. Umbrella specifically caters for more of small organization which may not be able to have or cater for the expenses that are involved in a pension scheme. And therefore a sponsor sets up a retirement scheme and allows different employers to join so that they can pull together. So these employers, they do adhere to what we call one trust deed and rule that has been set up by the sponsor. And they sign what we call a deed of adherence or participating agreement to adhere to what has already been stipulated out. So the advantage of this is that most of the sponsors do cover expense cost. So that is very important to small organizations, as well as even the other organizations that may not want to have a day-to-day running of the pension scheme. Yes. So
those are the types of pension plans that are out here.
Yes.
Today we're going to be narrowing down to the individual ones, the personal pension plan. But before we get into that, I'm looking at a case in point where one has the occupational one, whereby the employer is the one who's, paying for your retirement. And then say, for example, your contract is terminated, then what happens? Probably you've worked for them for like 15 years and then your contract gets terminated, or you run out of your job from there. What happens?
So, Vivian, what happens is that pension, once an employer has set a pension scheme, it is under irrevocable trust. So the employer cannot at each point in time decide to withdraw because it is also regulated. So in a case where one, and especially it really happens nowadays because people do change jobs. So once you change the job, then that particular saving that you've done belong to you. Now the current regulation says that an individual is able to access up to 50% of the whole benefit. Now, remember that where an employer has set up a scheme, they can either have a certain percentage, and what majorly the practice is the percentage of your pensionable earning. You contribute the same amount and the employer does the same. So the moment that money leaves the employer and goes to a pension scheme, then it no longer belongs to an employer. It belongs to a member. Therefore, the regulation says that whenever you leave service of that employer, you can be able to access 50%. Now, it is not cast on stone that you have to. It is a decision that you have to make. So you can decide to leave it also there to continue earning interest. Because it will also depend on which is that particular scheme giving good interest rate. So if it does, then you can allow it continue growing. And in case you have also accessed the benefit, then the balance, which is now the 50%, you can also transfer it to another scheme that has a superior interest rate, or you can, once you join that particular individual pension scheme, you can have that intention of doing periodic contributions. So you are allowed to also join through transferring what has accrued for the period that you have worked. You can transfer it to a personal pension plan.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So how do you go about picking what suits you best? Does it completely rely on whether you are employed or not? Or can someone who's still employed, decide to go for a personal or individual plan? Or just how do you choose what suits you?
So I can say both. Because where an employer is involved, one of the reasons why an employer sets up a pension scheme is also very key that we need to look at. One of it is to retain good staff. And as an employer, at any point in time, you would want your staff to feel a sense of belonging. Now, that particular employer will decide to save that particular contribution to either an insurance company that gives good interest rate. So one thing that an employer will have to look at is what value does the employees get out of the pension other than feeling a sense of belonging? Are they able to get good returns? So an employer will have to look at that. Now, where an individual is involved, like where you have an occupational one, you can also as well, maybe you do your budget and you find that you have some extra coins. You can decide to put it in an individual pension plan. Though the one that has been set by the employer, the individual may not dictate where to, but depending on how the scheme is performing, they may suggest another plan where the fund can be taken to so that they can generate more interest. Because in the insurance sector or in the financial sector, we differ in terms of what returns do we give to our clients. So for an individual, one thing that you need to look at is your financial needs and the flexibility that it is involved. And number two, how fast can you grow your funds? So both individual and employer are very key to look at what value are you going to get.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there options when it comes to the individual pension plans? Are there different options?
Yes, there are. So one of the things that, one of the options that you can have is either provident or pension.
Okay.
Now allow me. Yes, allow me explain this too.
Yeah.
And even before I get to that, there are factors to consider when one is looking for a retirement plan. I'll talk about both employer and an individual. Okay. Now, for an employer, one of the things that you need to look at is the returns. Because that is the value that out of the contributions the members are going to look into. Now, one of the things also is how are you going to finance this retirement scheme? Now, there is what we call contributory scheme, and there is also defined benefit. Now, number 2 is the benefit payout. That at any point in time when one leaves the service, a pension scheme, will you access your benefit? So that is now what takes us to what we call either provident or pension. Okay. Now let me mention the third one, then I get to pension and provident. Then the third one is what about about the return, which I'm talking about. Now that is investment design. So are you going to the segregated way, or you are going to the guarantee way? Now the guarantee is where you are guaranteed of the contribution. There is no impairment of your fund. At the same time, the insurance sector gives you some hope and confidence that you at each and every point in time you will get an interest as compared to the segregated. Now let me get now back to the provident and pension. Now basically the retirement plan is for one to access when you are not actively involved in work. So that is the bottom line. So when you retire, how do you access your fund? One is that you can either get the whole lump sum, accrued fund, plus the interest and the contributions. That is the provident. Irrespective of how much has accumulated, you will go home with it once you retire. Then we get now to what we call pension. Now pension is also a retirement plan, but now under the regulation, you are allowed to access a third of it as a lump sum, and the balance is used to, you can use to purchase what we call an annuity, which is a regular payout, or an income drawdown that pays you for a certain period of time. But for annuity, it is for the rest of life. So now, both employer and an individual can decide to do so. So there are employers that have decided to go the provident way, and there are also employers who have also decided to go the pension way. Same applies to individuals. So, however, as I said, that when you transfer from, let's say you have left the job and you've got another job and you have opened an individual, the regulation allows you to move from pension to provident because now it is your own arrangement. Now the difference here is that for pension, you are bound by the regulation of a third rule. And if a third is less than what we call the trivial amount, which is currently 10,820, then you will be given the whole of it. But where it is more, then a third rule has to come in place. Now for provident, an individual has that freedom
of getting the entire
to get the entire or decide to purchase annuity or income drawdown. Yes.
All right, so for someone who's looking to go the individual pension plan way, because that is actually what we are narrowing down to today. And when we're talking about you know, when looking at the numbers, the 26% of working Kenyans are actively saving for their retirement. When you look at this number, most of them are in employment, the 26%. So the majority of the people who are not saving for their retirement are people who are not informal informal way of working, you know. Maybe people in the Juakali sector, some people who are who've employed themselves and so on and so forth. So these are the people we're trying to look at and make them get into working for, or rather putting money aside for their retirement. So how do they start? Where do they start? For someone who's watching probably and they're in the informal sector and they're wondering, okay, how do I go about, you know, starting to save for my retirement? Where should I start?
Oh, yes, that's a very good question. Now, in fact, the other statistic is that in the informal sector, it is only 2%.
2% are actively saving for retirement.
Yes, and not maybe, they may not be actively, but at least 2% of that population has done some saving. So you can see
2% is really low.
Very, very low.
Yeah.
Now, it is very simple. The insurance sector has made it very easy. And with the current technology, most of the insurance firms have made it very easy that you can even get a retirement plan through their websites. Some of them even do the USSD code. And I can tell you that for Kenya Orient Life Assurance Limited, we have made it very easy. You can make a call. You can go to our website and you will get involved with our customer service. They will get in touch and they will refer you to the department where I work in, and there we will give you very good information. You do not even need to walk into the office. Once we get your phone number and we have your email, we will provide you everything that is required of you. We will share with you a form which you will complete. Once you complete, you share with us through email, and then you just start making contribution even as low as 1,000 Kenya shilling. Now the good thing with also individual pension plan is that it is not cast on stone. It is extremely flexible, and it will depend on your financial needs and availability. So whenever you have some little coin, you can send there. Nowadays, you even use an M-Pesa. We have a pay bill that you can make the payment. And the other assurance that I can give to the viewers is that we have ensured that we have technology that even you can track your contributions that you are making. So once the payments are made, within 1 or 2 days or within a day, you can be able to see your contributions because you have an online portal where you can be able to view, and now from there you will get motivated, because when you start from small and you start seeing your fund grow, then you'll get motivated to continue. So what I can tell our viewers today, that don't be shy to start a pension plan, because it is very important for you, and especially to those who are in informal sector. And let me tell you, retirement is real. Just as you are born, at one point in time, even if you are not active, even if you are not in the formal sector where you will go home at 60, let's just speak of somebody who does farming. At one point in time, even his energy will go down, and you'll need money to sustain you for the rest of life that you will be living.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as we're talking about that as well, we can't put a blind eye to the fact that there are so many scammers out here, you know. So how does someone ensure that whatever scheme they are getting into is not some scamming scheme? You know, how is there a regulator, and is there somewhere where I can go and check, okay, this insurance company, is it regulated, is it certified, is it possible for someone to go and check first before getting into any kind of scheme? Because I mean, scammers are out here. So how do I ensure that whatever I'm getting into is actually legit?
Yes, one of the regulators that has been very key in this sector is Regulatory Benefits Authority, abbreviated as RBA. So RBA is the regulator, and they have ensured that the sector is well run. Now, in their website, all the approved issuers that do pension have been listed down there. At the same time, even on how they perform on a yearly basis, a lot of research and statistics are being done by RBA, and they will be able to, from their website, you'll be able to see which kind of insurance firms give the best rate of return. And yes, it is good for you to avoid the scammers. So the first thing, do some search. And if possible, once you get the list of the companies that do the plan, then also go to the website and also try to confirm and get even a history of how they started, how long they have been, and how consistent are they in terms of their performance, which is very key. Because you will find that there are those that this year you will find that they have high returns, the following this, they are very volatile. But as a person who wants to ensure that his or her money grows in a steady way, then it is good to go for that particular company that has a stable return and even its asset base. Yes. So stability of a company is also a very key factor to consider when you are starting a plan.
Yeah. It's very important to put it out there that you should do your due diligence, you know, before hopping on to any of the insurance companies out here that are offering the retirement schemes and whatnot. Just make sure that you do your due diligence first. You know, when we look at these numbers from the 2% that you're talking about when it comes to informal sector who are actively saving for their retirement, and the 26 who are, you know, generally, you know, classifying all of them, you know, both in informal and formal, 26 who are saving, what is causing these low numbers?
Yeah, you know, there are some myths and misconceptions, especially in this sector. One of the myths is that retirement is for the old. That I'll have to it will take me years to get there. Number two, which is a factor, is also high dependency ratio. Most of the people, and even in the country, there's a lot of dependency on the relatives. So even that little coin that you may decide to save for your pension retirement may be used to sustain other people. So that is also an issue. The other issue is also that there's also this myth that saving for pension is a complex thing. And I have to thank you so much, because this information needs to go to the public. But you don't need to have that full, to have the complex information for you to start saving. Once you have the basic information that we are trying to inform our viewers, it is very important for them to know this. We create awareness. So the lack of awareness has also been a cause to this. And then the other thing that has also caused this is also job. So if you look at the population, especially to our young population, majority of them are not employed. So we live on hand to mouth. So when you live on hand to mouth, then you wouldn't think of doing a personal pension plan, rather than you just survive on a day-to-day basic needs. So those are some of the things that have affected this industry. And I can say that the industry has started creating a lot of awareness, and members are now getting to know the benefit of saving.
Okay.
So the viewers need to understand and know that at one point in time, we will have to retire, and we need to plan early. Yes.
Now, you know, with what you've said, that most people, you know, with the economic times that we're living in, which are a bit harsh, you know, on most people, or on all of us, really, you know, when you don't have that little bit to even put aside, you're living hand to mouth. I'm looking at someone who's really, you know, who works for 100 bob a day, and this 100 bob is the money he needs to budget for, and he has a family, or she has a family. How do you, you know, advise them, you know, how much is too little to put aside?
Oh, my advice would be very simple. Irrespective of how much you are having, put aside something, because the future is unknown. Now, if you are getting, let's just use even the minimum, that 100 shilling per day, because there are those who get that per day and they survive on it.
Yeah.
Why can't you use 95 and save 5? There's what we call time value of money and the power of compound interest. This 5 shilling that you are putting on a daily on a daily basis will be a certain amount in future. Let me tell you, yesterday I read about somebody who used to put 1 sterling pound in a Coca-Cola bottle every day. Now, from 2020 to date, within 4 years, that person realized that now he's having 4,500 sterling pound. Now look at just one sterling pound, or let's use 1 shilling. At the beginning, 1 shilling may not do something, but at the end of 4,500, you can do something out of it. So, in as much as we may be constrained because of the hard economic times, we need to develop a saving culture. And that is very key to any person. Let me remind you something. COVID-19. There are people who have not even recovered out of it up to date.
Sure.
And there are also, not only even COVID-19, there are also people who lose job because of maybe retrenchment, maybe the company goes down. As a result, how will you take care of your daily needs the following day? And even for those who are in the informal sector, they may not have a guarantee income the following day. But when you do 1 or 2 things in the course of that particular day and you try to, there's something that can come out. And let's also be realistic. God will not fail you. In one way or the other, we have been surviving. So let's put something small. So to that person who feels that his or her income is so low, if you are earning 10,000, you can even decide to put 10%. We have what we call 50-30-20 rule. Yeah, even if 20% is too much, go even down to 10%. But I can tell you that in future, in 5 to 10 years, it will have a value that it can help you to move to do something that you would have not done without it. Yeah.
So for such schemes, you know, the retirement pension schemes, or the individual wants to be specific, is there a minimum amount that they normally have? Like you had talked about as little as 1,000 bob. So is this 1,000 for every month, or is there a minimum amount that one is allowed to put aside? So
as I said, that we talk of a minimum of 1,000, but it can go as low, and not only that. You know, this is your own saving. if you go to a place that can allow you to save as low as 500 shilling, you will prefer that to 1,000 because you may not have 1,000 to save. But that farm that allows you even to save 200 shilling or 500 shilling. What we are saying, maybe for commitment purpose at the beginning, are you able to get 1,000 to start you off, or even 500 shillings to start you off?
Okay.
Then I also said about the flexibility of the plan. Maybe this month you've got 1,000. Next month you've got 200 shilling. Please send that 200 shilling through M-Pesa. Your money will never be refunded back to you that you have not met the threshold, because you are saving. And that particular, there's also another day that you'll get more than 1,000 shilling you will put. And even if a certain period of time you have had economic time that you are not able to save, it will just, your fund will continue earn interest, and then you'll continue to top up. So there's a lot of flexibility that in the personal pension plan.
Okay.
Yes.
I hear you on that. Now, where's the difference between, or what is the difference between pension plans and life insurance policies? Because I feel like sometimes they get to be, you know, people think they are one and the same thing. Are they? And what is the difference between these two?
So there's a slight difference, but they a bit overlap in one way or the other. Now, for a pension plan, what we need to have at the back of our mind is retirement when you are not actively involved. The other thing that I've also talked about is that it is very flexible in terms of the plan, according to your financial needs. Now, for the insurance, there are insurance plans that are also having both investment and the risk aspect of it. Majorly, the insurance is having the risk aspect because you are ensuring that in case of an event that can lead to death or can lead to permanent disability or ill health, then you are compensated. Now, for a personal pension plan, in as much as where an employer is not involved, and you find that you have a hard economic time, you can again request for a portion of it. However, that may not help you to meet the target because it will erode your fund. Now, the other thing for the life insurance is that most of them, they are for a certain period of time, majority of them. And a few of them, like a whole life insurance, that will cater for the whole period of your life. So with them, after the maturity, you take your fund, the sum assured, which is for you, plus maybe the investment. So there are those that have the investment aspect and the saving, but there are those that are purely not having. But for pension, it is investment and saving. So now the other thing that for life insurance, it requires total commitment. Because for a certain period of time, if you do not continue to pay the premium, then your plan may lapse. But for pension, even if you contribute only 1 or 2, 3, or whichever the period, that money will continue to earn interest. So those are the slight difference between the two.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'll get the difference. When you talk of retirements, most of the times, just as you said, people think of old age.
Yeah.
You know, but there are different types of retirements. What are these different types of retirements? You know, there's the old age, of course, which is at 60 or 55? 60. Yeah. And then there's maybe medical terms. What are the types of retirements out here?
So basically, as stipulated by the regulation, we have 2 types of retirement. One is early retirement, which is at age 50. So once you clock 50
plus 1.
Yes, 50 plus 1,
yeah,
you can decide to go and do your own things, then you will be allowed to access your funds based on the two plans which I had said, Provident Fund and pension. So depending on the plan that was there.
So you're allowed to get, when you get to 50, the retirement age is 60, but you can decide I'm 50, 51 years old now, and I feel like I'm tired.
Yes.
You're allowed to.
You are allowed by the regulation.
To retire.
Yes.
Okay.
And when it is pension provident, you will go with your whole fund. When it is pension, then you will take a third, then the 2/3. You will also look for an insurance company that is offering what we call an annuity, which you will purchase and will pay you for the rest of life. Now then there is the normal retirement, which is at 60, but it will also depend on the retirement age of an employer.
Okay.
So there are also employers that will decide that once their employees are 55 or 60, then they are supposed to be retired. Then there's one that you have also talked about, that is retirement on medical grounds. So this one specifically where you are retired because you are unable to discharge your normal duties, and you must have medical reports, and the doctor has to stipulate in that report that you are not able to discharge your normal duties. Like for example, if one is a driver and you have lost your sights, both of them, then employer, at no point the employer will decide to retire you on medical grounds. So that one you are also allowed to access your benefits. And even for the for under ill health, that one will depend on the state of your health, not 50 or 60. You may even be 30 or 40, but because of your condition, you will be able to access your benefits. Yes.
But it's until, it depends on how far you have saved.
Yes. So now, for when I want to take you back a bit. There's that part which I talked about, the contribution, and there's also the defined benefit. So where you have a plan where it is defined contribution, where employer and employee contribute, then whatever has accumulated, the total contributions plus the interest will be paid to you. Now, there's also a defined benefit where it will be based on a formula, specifically the number of years that you have been in service, and maybe your final that annual salary. So it's a formula that will depend on each and every employer, depending on how they want to compensate their employees. Yes.
Okay. How do you go about checking how much one will get by the time they get to their retirement age?
Yeah, so currently we do have tools, a tool that can help an individual to project how much he or she can have at retirement. Now, I have done some mathematics, and I want to give to our viewers, especially those who are in informal sector, some good hope.
Okay.
Now, somebody who is saving 400 shillings only, and you are 30, and you are targeting, let's say when you are 20, but you are targeting that at 50, that is for the next 30 years.
20 years if you're 30.
If you are 30, no, if you are the 20, and you want to save for 30 years, let's use a 30.
Okay.
400 shillings at an interest rate of 10% that you are sure of for that particular year, for those particular years, you'll get almost 2.2 million.
That's 400 shillings every month, not
every
daily.
Month, not daily. Now, if you are doing 1,000 Kenya shilling per month for 30 years at an interest rate of 10%, you will get almost 6 million. So 6 million is a good amount of money that can help you survive, and especially if you also go ahead and purchase an annuity with it. That annuity can give you almost 63,000 Kenya shilling per month for the rest of your life. So now there is value for it. Now, if you are doing 3,000 Kenya shilling for 30 years, then I can tell you that you will be almost over 10 million. So that is how, so specifically for a person who wants to join a personal pension, interact with us, the industry. We will be able to help you to do for you a projection. Then from that projection, you will have to draw a plan for yourself, because now this is something that you are interested in. You are now going to commit yourself, because commitment is also very key in saving. So once we give you that projection, and this 10%, I have used 10% because Kenya Orient Life Assurance Limited has never, for the period that we have been in the industry, we have never declared something below 10% per annum. Last year, we gave 11%. So our viewers, be rest assured that there are those companies that are giving, one of them being Kenya Orient Life Assurance, that give best rate of return. They will have you will have value for your money. Yes.
How do you do these calculations?
Of course, this calculation is based on some tools that we are being guided with.
Okay, you had mentioned.
Yes, and those particular tools, we are also having, there are also some factors to consider, like the previous data, how the industry is doing, and in terms of the inflation. So there are those particular factors that are being considered, so that you don't overpromise the client that now you are going to give them 20%, while the past data is showing that you've never given that. So from the past data and how the industry is doing, you base your what? Those statistics, and you are able to come up with a tool. And we are also guided by experts. So once they give us a tool, you just say that, Victor, I want to have a plan of 20 years for 2,000 or 1,000 per month. What do I expect? Within a short period of time, I'll be able to share with you, and you'll be able to see.
All right.
Yes.
I bet there's someone somewhere who's just thinking to themselves, why wait a whole 30 years for me to get around 2 million only, or for me to get 6 million, when maybe I can use this money or invest this money in a way that I could get more? What would you say to someone like that, who's wondering, why wait all these years, 30 years, for me to get 2 million shillings only?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, one thing that helps in these financial sectors is what we call discipline. So, you know, let me use this Kiswahili word, tunajichocha, that I can make it on my own. Well, look at, for the period even since we started working, if you look at, if you will find that most of even the 26% that you say that are in saving, they're just saving because the employers that they joined are having pension plan, not that they decided on their own. If the employers were not having that, that percentage would go as low as even 10%. So that particular confidence that we are having, and also the discipline, we are also able to, even also the financial sector, we are also able to give you those financial advice that you need. So yes, there are people, there's somebody who is saying that, why wait for that particular time? But you know, when you are saving, you must have a target, and you also must have a timeline. When you want to start saving, there are some of the things to consider. What do I want in future? For how long? So this is now where the insurance sector, especially the financial institutions like Kenya Orient Life, come in. They will help you to walk the journey, and that will even motivate you, so that when you want, and in fact, because you want, maybe it will take long. Let's say 1,000 for the next 30 years to get 2.2 million. Now, as you continue seeing your fund grow, you'll get motivated so that you can even hit the target very fast and start another plan. Yeah, so that confidence, we give confidence to our viewers that your funds are safe, and we are also able to do the investment in a prudent way to sectors that we are very sure of, that can give us good returns.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, I will allow you to give us your final remarks on this topic.
Thank you. So now, my final remark is that it is very important for us to start thinking on how to save, because there are 3 things in life that are inevitable. One of them is death. Another one is taxation, and another one is retirement. Irrespective of what we are doing, we need to know what we want in future and our lifestyle that we are going to live. So to that person who thinks that he or she is still young, and especially to the current generation, the population, we are made of a young population. And that's the majority of us are also not saving in the retirement sector. It is an advice to you that you start saving, because today you are young, tomorrow you'll get old. And you need to sort yourself out so that when you retire, you do not need to depend on others, but you be a blessing even to your family and even to your kids. So I urge each and everyone to start thinking of how to save. And let me just...
we're running out of time.
Yes, in less than a minute.
Maybe 5 seconds.
Yes.
Okay.
It is very key. And think of Kenya Orient, because we are giving very good rates of return of 11%.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor, for coming through to the show and for shedding light on this very important conversation. This is where we end Good Morning Kenya for today. I am sure that you have gotten the motivation to start saving for your future if you hadn't already started doing that. My name is Vivian Ndago. Until tomorrow, take care of yourselves.